A very good evening, Zimbabwe. This is Studio 7 LiveTalk, the Women's RoundTable, this Thursday, December the 3rd, 2020, where today we'll be discussing about various issues affecting women during this COVID-19 pandemic. Top of the show, we'll look at COVID-19. We'll also look at gender-based violence and also what's been happening here in the United States, looking at the elections that just ended. Over to you, PJ. I'm Marvelous Mhlanganyahuye, broadcasting from my home in Washington, D.C.
And I'm Praxedis Jeremiah. I'm broadcasting from my home in Maryland, Upper Marlboro.
And we actually are broadcasting from home due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has really ravaged the whole world, where globally, Johns Hopkins University says there are 64 million COVID-19 positive cases globally and 1.4 million deaths. And also in the United States, where we are broadcasting from, there are 13 million positive cases here in the United States and 273,000 deaths. What does it look like in Zimbabwe currently, PJ?
In Zimbabwe, the figure is surpassed the 10,000 mark. It's now at 10,243,000 of the accumulative cases that have been tested positive. As of last night, 114 new cases were reported tested positive as well, of the 1,862 PCR tests that were done yesterday. There were no deaths, so the death rate is still at 277. Bulawayo still leading with a number of new cases, like as of yesterday, of the 114 cases that were reported that tested positive, 73 of them were from Bulawayo, followed by Mat South, which also had 17. So you can see, and Mat North 3. So you can see from Matabeleland only, there is 73, which is 90 and 94 of the 114 cases. 94 of them are from Matabeleland, South, North, and Bulawayo. No deaths as yet, but people are just worried just that for the past 2 months, Bulawayo has been leading with people who are testing positive.
And PJ, we've also seen a high rise of some of these COVID-19 positive cases in schools. Talking about Bulawayo, there is a case that has been really worrying people. Tell us a little bit about what's been happening in one of the schools there in Bulawayo.
There are actually 2 schools which are a bit worrying, and students as well as teachers and parents are worried about. There's the John Talak High School, which is just outside Bulawayo, which has got a cumulative of 185 cases that have tested positive. Right now, for the past 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, the school has been closed off on quarantine. But as from today, parents have been told to come and fetch their children. So the school has been closed, and what are remaining are those students that started writing their exams today, like their O-level examinations as well as A-level examinations, since it's a high school.
Mm-hmm.
But we understand also at Matopo, there's the same thing. In all the schools, I also heard Baptist Sanyati Mission. There are about 9 cases of people that tested positive as well.
Mm-hmm. Still on that COVID-19 positive cases, coming back here in the United States, we've seen there's been a lot of going back and forth between the incoming president-elect Joe Biden of the Democrats and President Donald Trump, who is the current president, regarding this issue of COVID-19, especially the task force, with some of the documents not being released by the current administration. But there are also some positive issues that are coming out of this actual, coming in of the Joe Biden administration, especially when it comes to women. Tell us a little bit about that.
From the appointments that the Biden Kamala Harris ticket have made so far, the good news was on Monday, they appointed a solely women power communications department.
And I think, a lot of women's organizations are going to be really hailing this move, because we've seen previous administrations being criticized for not having, enough gender balance in their cabinets. So we'll be discussing with some of our guests right here on what they think of what's happening here in the United States. Over to you, Ndebele.
Yeah, siyalamukela kuhlelo lethu lalamhlanje, uhlelo asihluzeni bomama. Lapho ke esixoxa khona ngeziphathelane labesifazane lamantombazana, izandhluphe ukuphumelela kwabo ekulimeni, kwezamabhizimusi, kweminye nje imisebenzi, kwezombusazwe, njengalapho okwenzakala khona ngapha ngaseMelika, lapho umongameli osezangena esikhundleni onqobe ukhetho olwenziwe ekuqaliseni kukaLwezi mhla ka-3 Lwezi, umnumzana Joseph Biden aseqalisa-ke ukuthatha amanyathelo akuqala okudinga abantu abazangena ezikhundleni ezehlukeneyo. Sizaxoxa-ke ngodaba lona lolo olwempumela yokhetho lwaseMelika lokudinga umongameli. Sizoxoxa njalo ngenani labantu elilokhe liqonga labantu abatholakala bele COVID-19 eZimbabwe kanye lalapha eMelika. Lokhe liqonga okumangalisayo inani lalabo abatholakala bele COVID-19. Kunje eZimbabwe sebezinkulungwane ezedlula ezilishumi, 10,243 asebefunyenwe bele COVID-19 kusukisela liqhamuka leli gciwane ngoMbimbitho lonyaka. Kuthi-ke ngokutshona kwelanga layizolo kube labantu abedlula 114 abafunyenwe bele COVID-19 izolo, phakathi kwabahloliweyo abaphose bafike inkulungwane ezimbili, 1,862. Kodwa okuhluphayo okukhathaza abanengi ukuthi phakathi kwalelo nani ele-114 koBulawayo kuphela edolobheni kutholakale abantu abayi-73 belegciwane leli. Lilandelwa iBulawayo ilandelwa yiMatabeleland South, izansi yeMandebeleni ile-17, kuthi iMatabeleland North ile-3, ilabathathu. Okutsho kubana emhlubulweni waseMandebeleni kuphela iMarch North leMarch South kanye leBulawayo kulabantu asebefunyanwe belaleli gciwane abangaba abaphose bafike 100, abayi-90, 91. Yikho kukhathaza abaningi, bayamangala ukuthi kungani inani leli liqonge kangaka, liqanse kangaka emhlubulweni waseMandebeleni. Abanye njalo ngabathi engxenye kubangelwa ukuthi ukuvulwa kwemingcwele eBotswana kanye le-South Africa eMsina le-Beitbridge. Kungabe kubangela kuvela labantu abasuka eSouth Africa kanye laseBotswana akwazakali. Kungaba njalo ukuthi engxenye ukuvulwa kwemingcele leyi abantu sebeqalisa ukuyawoda izinto ezekhisimusi, kumbe njalo abanye akade bevele bevalelwe eSouth Africa nge-lockdown sebesiza labo ekhaya, akwazakali. Akula muntu ochasisayo ukuthi imbangela yokwanda kumbe yokuqansa kwenani labantu abasuka eMandebeleni koBulawayo leMarch North leMarch South ukuba lande kangaka. Okunye njalo okukhathaza abanengi izikolo lazo esezihlaselwe yileli gciwane le-COVID-19. Sikhuluma nje eJohn Tarlac High School kutholakale abantwana abaphose bafike 285 asebele COVID-19, ukuthi abazali kunje sebetsheliwe ukuthi babuye bazothatha abantwana labo ikakhulu labo abangabhaliyo imhloliso, ngoba baqalisile ukuvala imhloliso baqalisile ukubhala imhloliso namhlanje abaka form 4 labaka form 6. Lasematopo mission lakho kubikwa kulo hlupho lunye. Ngale ngaseMashonaland kule Goromonzi le Wadlove le Sanyati Baptist Mission School layo isihlaselwe leli gciwane. Okutsho ukubana uhulumende angabe kade engalungiselelanga kakuhle ngokweneleyo ukuthi izikolo zivulwe, ngoba ababalisi abaningi abakabuyele esikolo. Laba sebebuyele esikolo emsebenzini bakhala ngokuthi ngakula zinto zokuzivikela emkhuhlaneni lo kumbe ukuthelelwana kwawo, izinto ezinjengama sanitizer, izinto ezinjengama mask, bathi kakula. Kwezinye izikolo akulala manzi, ukuthi bayacela abantwana ukuthi babuye lama 2 liters awamanzi babe sebewafaka emgqonyeni munye ukuze bawasebenzise ukunatha ilanga lonke abantwana besezifundweni lokugeza izandla. Kodwa ke abazali abanengi elizweni lonke bakhala ngokuthi uhulumende kalungiselelanga. Kodwa ke yena uhulumende ngokwakhe yena uthi ulungiselele konke kulungile, ikakhulu nxa lapho intatheli zindaba zibuza uMnumzana Ken Mathema, umphathintambo wezemfundo. Yikho ke esizaxoxa ngakho lamhlanje okwe COVID-19. Sizophatha njalo umkhankaso lo okuvimba ukuhlukumezana ezimulini ngobulili olwe 16 days activism against gender-based violence olunanzwa ongumkhankaso onanzwa laseZimbabwe. Sikhuluma nje uqalise mhla ka-25 uzaphela ngayona le inyanga mhla ka-10 eKampalakazi. Sizophatha njalo ukhetho lwaseMelika lokudinga umongameli. Yebo lwenziwe mhla ka-3 Lwezi kwanqoba lo osengena webandla lama-Democrats uMnumzana Joe Biden elomsekeli wakhe unkosikazi Kamala Harris. Kodwa ke udubo osolukhona ukuthi umongameli Donald Trump ngamukeli ukuthi unqotshiwe. Yebo Marvelous.
Aiwa, sekutora kuri kuita sisi PJ nhasi tine gango, tine zvakawanda zvatiri kutarisa pano pachirongwa cheWomen's RoundTable. Tinochingamidza vese vachangobva kupinda muchirongwa chedu, uyezve tine zvizhinji zvatichange tiri kukupakurirai. Takatarisa isu zviri kuitika munyika panyaya yeCovid-19. Tichitarisa zvakare zviri kuitika kumadzimai panguva ino ye16 days of gender-based violence yakatanga iyo musi wa25 sekutaura kwaita PJ. Tichitarisa zvakare zviri kuitika imo muno muAmerica panyaya yesarudzo ichangobva kuitika. Tinoona kuti pane mapisha anga aripo pakati pemutungamiri weAmerica vaDonald Trump navaJoe Biden vemaDemocrats panyaya yekutambidzana kwemasimba. Asi taona zviri kubuda kubva kuhurumende ichange iri kuuya idzva yavaJoe Biden zviri kunakidza vazhinji madzimai, nekuti tiri kuona kuti vachange vari ivo kuDepartment yeCommunications vari kunzi ivo vachange vari madzimai. Saka vaBiden vakawanikwa ivo vachisarudza madzimai kunge vari ivo vachange vakamirira department iroro recommunication. Saka ndo zvimwe zvachange tiri kukurukura pamusoro pezvazvo, tichitarisa zvakare kuti zvii zviri kuitika sekutaura kwataita panyaya yeCovid-19. Tinoona kuti bazi rezveutano riri kuzivisa iro kuti munyika pari zvino mune vanhu 10,243 vawanikwa ivo vachibatwa nedenda irori reCovid-19, kuwanikwa kuine vanhu 8,671 pari zvino vakawanikwa vachibatwa nedenda iri reCovid-19 asi vachizorikunda. Powanikwa zvakare paine vanhu 277 vawanikwa ivo vachishaya kubva kudenda iri reCovid-19. Saka ndo zvimwe zvatichange tiri kutarisa. Izvi ndo zviri kuitika muZimbabwe, asi tinoona kuti denda iri pasi rose rakasunga zvakare. Tinoona kuti John Hopkins University yemuno muAmerica inowanikwa iyo ichiparura mamiriro akaita zvinhu panyaya yedenda irori reCovid-19 iri kutaura iyo kuti pari zvino pane zvizhinji zviri kuitika. Pane vanhu 64 million pasi rose vabatwa neCovid-19, 1.4 vakawanikwa ivo vachishaya. Kozouya imo muno muAmerica matiri kutepfenyura tiri mune vanhu 13.9 million vabatwa neCovid-19, 273,000 vachiwanikwa ivo vachishaya. Tisingakanganwe zvakare kuti nemusi waDecember 1 uchangobva kupfuura yanga iri iyo zuva rekurangarira chirwere cheshuramatongo cheWorld AIDS Day. Saka tichange zvakare tiri kungotarisa kuti pane zvirongwa here zviri kuitwa nevanyarikani vedu mukubatsira nyanya madzimai vakawanikwa ivo vakatarisana nedenda irori, kana vamwe vakatisiya, kana vamwe vari kurarama nedenda iri. Saka tichange tiine zvizhinji zvatichange tiri kukurukura pamusoro pezvazvo iye muzuva ranhasi. Regai tidzose zvakare PJ nokuti tine vanyarikani vedu vari panapa. PJ timboona kuti tinzwe kuti vari kuti chii, nekuti vamwe vanga vari kuZimbabwe network yavo yabva yadambuka, asi tiedza kuvafonera panhare kuti tinzwe kuti zvakamira sei. So over to you PJ.
Yeah. Hoti-ke ngibize umhlonitshwa wethu walamhlanje unkosikazi Beatrice Khumalo. Siyakwamukela kuhlelo lwethu nkosikazi.
Siyalibingelela lonke balaleli.
Yeah. Wena-ke ngiyakwazi ukuthi uyintatheli izindaba njalo ungumbalisi lamanye ama-hats owagqokayo amaningi. Iko-ke namhlanje kuhlelo lwethu engunxusele khona lapha ukuthi sikhulume ngezinto ezimbalwa i-gender based i-16 days activism against gender based violence, ukuhlukumezana ngobulili, ukuvimba lo ngumkhankaso oqalise mhla ka-25 Lwezi uyaphela mhla ka-10. Sizokhuluma njalo nge-COVID-19 ukuthi ulubhubhane usuhlasele kangakanani eZimbabwe kanye lalapha eMelika lakhona ngapho ngase-UK lapho khona. Asiqaliseke ngokukhangela okwe-COVID-19. Uzwani olwazi bani olutholayo oluvela eZimbabwe ngokusabalala kwe-COVID-19 ikakhulu ezikolo lasemhlubulweni wamandebeleni ngoBulawayo, eMatabeleland North laMatabeleland South?
Indaba evele ekhaya iletha ubuhlungu kakhulu phakathi kwethu. Njalo sifisele ukuthi kube lendlela engcono engaba khona. Ngingazi nje ukuthi singaqalela ngaphi. Angazi ukuthi ngaqalela lapha e-United Kingdom or ngihle ngingene eZimbabwe.
Asiqalisele eZimbabwe khona sizabuya ngapho e-United Kingdom.
Yebo. eZimbabwe lapha mbone ngani kulodubo olukhulu, ikakhulu kundaba engizwayo esikolweni. Indaba yokuthi abantwana bebehambe ukuyabhala imhloliso yabo bephinde njalo kube lama-outbreak. So kusiba lokufunyanwa kwabanye abantwana sebelegcikwane leli le-COVID-19. Engingakuzwisiyo kakhulu yikuthi kungenxa yani abantwana bevunyelwe ukubuyela esikolo khona kungakalungiswa indlela zokubavikela. Kanye lokuthi abantwana sebebhaliswa imhloliso. Abantwana laba banikwe i-coursework or something like that. So kuthi ukuthi maybe there's something in our system eyemfundo okumele kuguqulwe kutshintshwe. Njengangapha e-United Kingdom abantwana bagcine sebenikwa i-coursework kuyimbali abazibhala bengekhaya. Ababalisi behambe ke beyohlola bebanika ama-marks ngoba ama-assessments are not only based on examinations. Ngaba banike i-coursework or other ways of examining abantwana labo ukuthi behloliswe ukwenzela ukuthi bengahlangani labanye izinto zingakalungiseki. Kuphinde
Umqondo obuya lawo kwisystem yethu eZimbabwe bona bayakhangela kakhulu okuphuma emihlolisweni kuma exams. Kungaba ngelinye icebo lokuthi ngabe uhulumende uyacetshiswa ukuthi angarelayi solili kumihloliso kuphela, but akhangele okwenziwe ngumntwana ithemu yonke. But khathesi singakhangela ukuthi abantwana bebevele bengafundi kusukisela ngoMbimbitho, kwenziweni?
Yikho kumangalisayo ukuthi abantwana bebevele bengafundi. So angizwisisi ukuthi bese behamba ukuyabhala imhloliso iphi yakhona. Ngapha e-United Kingdom abantwana banikwe ama-average grades, just general grades ezokuthi predicted grades, ukuthi umbalisi uyacabanga ukuthi umntwana uku-A, uku-B, uku-C. Lokho kusize i-anxiety le-tension phakathi kwabantwana labazali, le-confusion lababalisi. So ngibe ngingazwisisi ukuthi kugijinyelweni ukuthi abantwana bebhala imhloliso. Ngenxa yegcikwane leli le-COVID-19 kube kumele kube lamanye ama-backup endlela zokuthi abantwana bebuyele. Ikakhulu kokuthi bephonga ubuyela bebhala imhloliso. Singakhangelisisa ababalisi kabekho. Ababalisi bebeku strike. Silodaba lokuthi isikolo njalo zibe zingafundisi. So kugijinyelweni nxa umphathintambo wemfundo ekhuluma uthi kungenxa yani abantwana bebuyele bevele bengafundanga lababalisi abakade bengekho bekhalala umsebenzi. Ngingazi ukuthi
sikhangeleke kuhlelo kumbe umkhankaso lo owe 16 days activism against gender based violence okuhlukumezana ngobulili. Lawo uphathekile, ubanjwe kancane yi-COVID-19. Siboneke ukuthi izehlakalo zokuhlukunyezwa ikakhulu abesifazane lamantombazana, abantu beku-lockdown, abantu belolaka lokuswela imisebenzi, lokungenelisi ukuthi bayenze umsebenzi wabo ungabe ngowokuthengisa kumbe ibhizimusi. Kuthiwa obaba kade beqondisa ulaka lwabo kubomama labantwana abangamantombazana. Kube lehlekana nje engxenye elincane elokuthi obaba labo kade behlukunyezwa ngabomama. Kodwa ke i-lockdown kumbe ngithi COVID-19 ivele yaphatha kakhulu i-gender based violence yona leyi. Ulikubona njani wena uphumayo eZimbabwe lakhona ngapho ngase-UK?
Udaba lolu lokuhlukunyezwa kwabomama lukhanya lubuhlungu kakhulu, ikakhulu ngalesi sikhathi kungalophumayo endlini. Sokutshona kuvalelweni endlini, sebeqalisa ukulwa. Njalo okunye ukulwa kwakhona kubangelwa ngokuthi akusela mali. Uma abantu bengasebenzi, akula mali yokudla. Kanye lokuhlalisana ukuthi vele kuyabe kungahlaliswanyanga kuhle emzini lapho. Sokulethe ukudubeka kakhulu lokuhlukunyezwa kwabomama lamantombazana. Njalo kumele ilizwe lidinge indlela zokukuvimbela. Singazi ukuthi kule ndawo yini lapho okungahanjiswa khona omama ababe behlukunyezwe kakhulu, ngoba sizama ukuthi sivimbele indaba yokuthi begcine sokubulawana endlini, bayalwa beze abanye befe. Singazi ukuthi kule ndawo ezinjengama safe houses yini or abe social services ukuthi benelise ukuncedisa omama ekhaya. Umbuzo wami omkhulu lokuthi kule nhlanganiso yini ezingasiza omama ngalesi sikhathi eZimbabwe.
Kubva kune munyarikani wedu vanga vari panapa vanga vari kutaura ivo pamusoro pezviri kuitika kunzvimbo yeUnited Kingdom, uko vari kutaurawo kuti nyaya iyoyi yeCovid-19 iriko yakatekeshera, asi vari kutaura ivo kuti pane zvikwanisiro zviripo kuitira kuti vanhu vawanikwe ivo vachiwana raramo nguva ino yeCovid-19 vachitaurawo zvakare pamusoro pezviri kuitika kuZimbabwe uko tiri kuona nyaya iyoyi yeCovid-19 zvakare iri kunzi iyo nemasangano emadzimai iri kukonzera kuti uwandu hwevanhu vari kuwanikwa ivo vachishushana mudzimba, nyanya madzimai vari kuwanikwa ivo vachibhinywa nezvimwe zvakadaro hukwire. Panguva iyo tiri kuona kuti pasi rose neimomo muZimbabwe muri kurangarirwa imo yatinoti iyo 16 days of gender based violence yakatanga musi wa25. Saka ndo zvimwe zviri kuitika pari zvino, uyezve tichiona zvakare kuti pane zvizhinji vataura zvakare tichange tiri kutaura nyaya yezviri kuitika imo muno muAmerica panyaya yesarudzo dzichangobva kupera munyika ino yeAmerica, umo tiri kuona kuti vaJoe Biden vemademocrats vakamirira kuti vawanikwe ivo vachipinda muhofisi munguva inotevera. Saka ndo zvimwe zviri kuitika panguva inoi, asi tichange tiri kuwanikwa isu tichitaura nevanyarikani vedu tichinzwa kuti masangano avo vari kuita zvipi panyaya idzodzi dzese dzatiri kukurukura. Takanyanyotarisa madzimai tinoona kuti masangano akadai savana Musasa project mamwe emasangano ari kutaura iwo kuti uwandu hwevanhu nyanya madzimai vari kuwanikwa ivo vachishungurudzwa panguva ino yeCovid-19 kwati kwirei, nekuti vanhu havana zvikwanisiro zvakadai sekuti vana baba vazhinji havasi kuenda kumabasa, uyezve vanhu vari kugara vari panzvimbo imwe chete. Izvo zviri kuita kuti nyaya dzekushungurudzana mudzimba dziwanikwe idzo dzichiwedzereka. Saka tichange tiine zvakare vanyarikani vari kubvawo kuZimbabwe vachange vari kukurukura nesu tichinzwa kuti kwakamira sei, asi tiri kunzwa kuti vari kuchema-chema vachiti nyaya yenetwork nemagetsi iri kutinetsei, zvokuti vamwe vatanga tiinavo ipo panapa veYoung Christian Women of Zimbabwe vawanikwa ivo tisingakwanisi kuti tirambe tichitaura navo nekuti network yavo yabva yangodambuka tiri pakati pekuti vauye pachirongwa. Asi takatarisira kunge tiine sangano reWomen's Coalition of Zimbabwe iro rinowanikwa iro richisanganisa masangano emadzimai akawanda ari pasi pawo vachivawo vachitaurawo kuti pane zvirongwa here zvavainazvo panguva ino panyaya iyoyi yekuti uwandu hwevanhu nyanya madzimai vari kubatwa nedenda irori reCovid-19 kana vari kuwanikwa vachishungurudzwa huri kuwanikwa iwo huchiwanda munyika. Asi tinotenda kuti iye zvinezvi tina guest vedu vaye vanga vari pano, saka regai tivadzose tinzwe kuti kwakamira sei kuUK kwavari ikoko, nekuti vambenge ivo tawanikwa network yavo ichidona. PJ, so I think we have our guest back from the UK while we're waiting for Zimbabwe to log in because they were complaining about the issue of network and electricity. So we're still waiting for them. But maybe let me throw a question to our guest here. Can you...
She speaks in both in Ndebele and Shona and in English.
That's even better. Saka takatarisa zviri kuitika ikoko kuUnited Kingdom nyanya panyaya yeCovid-19 pane zvingadzidzwa here neZimbabwe panyaya iyoyi?
Takatarisa zviri kuitika kuno kune zvakawanda ndisingazivi kuti tingataura zvatingadzidza yes as a nation, but tikatarisa mafigures aripo as per today pazuva ranhasi kwafa vanhu 59,796 muUnited Kingdom kubva pakatanga COVID-19. Then we look at my new cases. Nezuro kwakaita vakatestiwa 13,323 new cases. And in total, we seem to have an increase yema new cases achinda ma 20,000 mai. Zvizhinji zvacho zvichikonzerwa nezvikoro zvakazvambovhurwa zvikavharwa. University vana vakatanga kuita mapati vawana mapayout vachisangana zvisingatenderwi zviri kunze kwemutemo. Saka ndo kwakatanga kuita maoutbreak COVID-19. Asi vakakurumidza kutiisa mulockdown. Saka for the past 4 weeks tangata tiri kumba takagara up to now tiriko, saka tinodzidzisa online.
Tombotarisa kuti kuZimbabwe tiri kuona kuti macases nyanya kuzvikoro ari kunzi ari kuramba achikwira. pane zvamataura izvi toona kumusha vamwe vanoti online iri kunetsa. Sekutaura kwandaita pane magesi anga aripo but vatotadza kupinda, asi ndiri kuona pane mumwe wavo akwanisa kunge ari pano iye zvinezvi. But pane here zvimwe zvingaitwe kubatsirawo vari kumusha kuti vanenge vachida kuita maonline classes iwaya vawanikwe vachiita sevana vechikoro pane kuenda kuzvikoro?
Nyaya yemaonline classes iri kunetsa. KuZimbabwe kune nyaya dzakati kuti dzinotinetsei. Online ichinetsa pakuti panenge kusina magetsi, kunenge kusina network, kunenge kusina computer yacho. Saka takatarisa zvakadaro, kwaifanira kuita ma-strategic decisions kuDepartment reEducation, kuMinistry of Education. Kuti vati vana zvavasipo kudai toita sei, tovatumira here mapepa akaprintiwa omumabhuku. Kuno kuEngland, vana vakapiwa average prediction wokuti mudzidzisi anoti uyu pamwanga wana ABCD. Vanga vachifanira kusamhanyira kudzorera vana kuti vanonyora maexam. Nokuti vana vanonyorei vanga vasingadzidzi. Vana vanonyora chii vanga vari mulockdown. Saka kwakusingafaniri kuita kukurumidza kudzorera vana. At this point in time, nokuti maticha anga asiko, chikoro chachisiko. Saka education yange ichifanira kuitisa vana coursework, because vana should not only be assessed nama exam. Kuno vana vanopiwa ma different activities, ma coursework, ma practicals, and chero ma practical asi kukwaniswa kuitwa even kuno kuUnited Kingdom. Saka handioni kuti ine situation yatine ma challenges akawanda, vamanyirei kudzorera vana. Vana vose vaikwanisa kuzotanga chikoro muna January. Hopefully nyaya yemvura yavako, hakuna futi mvura nokuti vana vanofanira kugara vachigeza maoko kuti vasanyanyo spread COVID-19. Vanofanira kunge vaine ma sanitizer. Ariko here kana tichitaurirana chokwadi ekupa umwe noumwe mwana. Vanofanira kunge vane mask. Can we afford mask kuzvikoro zvevana? So kuona kwangu, vana should not have gone kuchikoro. Nokuti tatisati taisa zvinhu zvese izvozvo in place. Vana vaikwanisa kuzotanga chikoro muna January. Nokuti vana vose vakanganisika. Chero iko kuno kuUnited Kingdom. Kune ma-online lesson. Variko vana vasina. And right now social services could not afford kutengera vana vose makomputa because vanopiwa fine mari yechikafu neyekudya kuti vagare kumba. Saka kune vana vanobva kuma disadvantaged communities. Saka havana, ndosaka kwakaita strategy yokusakurumidza kuvanyoresa maexam. Handi vana vese vachakwanisa kunyora. Saka tiri kuda kungoona ma-results ema-exam tisingazvitarisi isusu as officials, as parents, as teachers, as government, kuti vana vacho tavabatsira sei. Is it about just getting exams? Or is it about a pandemic outbreak yaitika? De pava nekushanda pamwe kokuona kuti tofanira kutochengetedza vana ngavagare kumba. Vana voverenga mabhuku ari physical ndo anokwanisa kuwanikwa. Vachingoitawo ma-homework vabereki vachiedza kuita follow up. Kana zvazovhugwa with everything in place, kochitwa consolidation. But at the same time, our education system should change. It's not about exams. Vana vanokwanisa kuita coursework. And this is curriculum yedu yati yamira sei. Because I was a teacher before Zimbabwe and I was also a journalist. Saka I'm still the same even kuno United Kingdom. There are many ways of assessing children. And I think we need to strategize. Tichinje maonero atinoita kugona kwemwana.
Aiwa, tiri ipapo regai tichingamidze vari kuZimbabwe nekuti nyaya yenetwork iri kunetsa. Tinokuchingamidzai pachirongwa. Taurai zita renyu neorganization yenyu tatakakumirirai pano vanyarikani vekuZimbabwe.
Tinokutendai makadi zvenyu. Handizivi ndiri kunzwika hangu zvakanaka.
Muri kunzwika zvakanaka.
Zvakanaka. Zita rangu ndinoitwa Evernice Munando. Ndinoshanda neorganization inonzi Female Students Network Trust. Uyezve ndiri mutungamiriri sachigaro weWomen's Coalition of Zimbabwe. Basa ratinoita kuorganization kwedu tinosimudzira kodzero dzevana vasikana vari muzvikoro zvedzidzo yepamusoro mumacolleges nemauniversities umu tichitarisa zvikuru nenyaya yekushungurudzwa yatinotiwa pachirungu sexual harassment, gender based violence, rape, zvadaro zvakasiyana-siyana. Uyezve tinovakurudzira vasikana kuti vamiririre kodzero dzavo pasina kumbunyikidzwa, uyezve vatore chikamu chebudiriro munyika ino yeZimbabwe, vachipiwawo muenzanukana yakafanana nevakomana pamwe chete nevarume.
Tiri pakuona kuti pari zvino tiri pakurangarira nguva ino ye16 days of activism against gender based violence. Zvii zviri kuitwa nesangano renyu panguva inoi?
Takanangana ne16 days of activism takatanga zvakanaka, ende ndisingataura zve16 days chete nekuti basa ratinoita iri harimiriri 16 days. Asi pa16 days tinobatanawo nenyika dzose pasi rose, ndo patinonyanya kutotsinidzira nyaya iyi yekushungurudzwa kwemadzimai. Mufunge tiri kutarisa dambudziko iri rekushungurudzwa tichibva muCovid-19 tichirimo. Asi regai nditaure ndakanangana nelockdown iyi kuti madzimai akanga akabatikana, asi pari zvino tiri kunyanya kufamba tichipembedza shoko iri rekuti madzimai budai imomo mukunyarara muchishungurudzwa makanyarara. Ndinoziva kuti vazhinji vakashayikirwa nemukana yekuenda kunosangana nekunomuripota kana kumapurisa kana kusangana nesu semaorganizations tichivabatsira. Saka tiri kuti aiwa tadzoka zviri nyore zvinezvi zvinenge zvave nani, taakubvumidzwa kufamba. Ngatiwanikei tichitaura nyaya iyi yekushungurudzwa, yekushayikwa kwezvinhu muZimbabwe. Zvinhu zvakaoma panguva ino yandiri kutaura, ende madzimai ndo ari mutoro wakanyanya nekuti mumba hamuna chekudya. Nyaya yechikoro yanga ichataurwa iyi, vana vamwe vari kudzimba, regai nditi vari kuzvikoro kuno kuZimbabwe ndo vakaenda kumaboarding school, asi vekumadhe enda kuzvikoro vazhinji vachiri mudzimba. Ende ndiri kuona sekuti zvakutonyanya kushungurudza panyaya yekuti vana ava vamwe vari kuchikoro nevari kusara kumba. Ndinoona sekuti patotanga yatinoti pachirungu discrimination iri kutoitika tisingaziye. Fungai kuti vana ava vane ushamwari anenge achitoudzwa kuti tiri kuchikoro.
Network yatambotaura iyaiya inenge yakuda kuti netsei. Saka regai tiende kwamuri PJ timbonzwa tichiteerera zvanga zviri kutaurwa neve Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe. Vanoshanda zvakare nevana vari kuzvikoro, asi network sekutaura kwatiri kuita iri kumboenda ichidonha. Saka PJ, over to you.
Ubekhuluma lapho unkosikazi osebenza lenhlanganiso ezilwela amalungelo oluntu eZimbabwe, engumgcini sihlalo njalo we-Women's Coalition, lenye ihlanganiso ayibethe ngegama ayisengiyilibele. Kodwa-ke bona bathi bona abasebenzi kumkhankaso wensuku ezili-16 i-16 days lezi, kodwa basebenza ngaso sonke isikhathi umnyaka wonke, benika umama abesifazana ilizwi lokuthi bakhulume, they should speak out ukuthi bayahlukunyezwa ezindlini. Ngakho-ke liqansile njalo inani labesifazane labomama lamantombazana abakade behlukunyezwa ezindlini kungenxa ye-COVID-19 lockdown. Obaba besiba lolaka lokuthi babe bengesenelisi ukuya emsebenzini. Wakhuluma njalo ngodaba lwezikolo ukuthi abantwana abakuma-day schools iningi labo kaliyi elokuza nesikolo, lababalisi labo kababuyi ezikolo. Kodwa-ke labo abenelise ukubuyela esikolo abakuma-boarding schools, sokube lohlupho lona lolo ukuthi sokuqhamuke imikhuhlane we-COVID-19 khona ngale sikhangela oJohn Talaki, oSanyathi Baptist Mission, oWard Love, oGoromonzi, njalo ekhuluma ngokuthi sokuqhamuke umkhuhlane wona lo, njalo sokuludubo kwasokuqhamuka-ke ucingo lwakhe ngenxa ye-connection. Esithi njalo ukuthi abafundi bafunde okuthiwa yi-e-learning ebulenjini kuyahlupha kungenxa ye-connection wena le lama-signals. Usephendukile unkosikazi?
Yebo.
What does it
I think you can carry on since your connection is very bad over there, to just tell us what organization are you with also, and what are you doing currently in regards to COVID-19, especially when we look at the issues facing women. We know that there is the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, but what other programs do you have?
I could hardly hear your question, but I think I'm carrying on from what I left, from where I left.
Carry on.
I was saying, in Zimbabwe, the situation is very complicated. Women, girls are really suffering because of the situation that is prevailing in the country. Gender-based violence has increased. And now, as the women's organizations, we are busy decampaigning the extreme abuse of women. And we have seen mental health illness manifesting. I'm sure you've heard about the story of a chief woman who killed all her 4 children. It's really a sad story. And I think the problem there is mental health illness. So we are really raising awareness, focusing on mental health, because we feel that women have internalized quite a lot during lockdown. And now the results are showing this time around. So we are moving around in our communities, in colleges. Like last week, we also convened a gender-based violence advocacy workshop, where we also called in members of the parliament, representatives from the Ministry of Women Affairs, and also women's organizations, where we came together to say, what are we doing moving forward? Because it feels like the efforts which we had made previously have been rolled back by COVID-19. Hence, the government hasn't put any framework in place in terms of how we are going to move forward and also continue in advocating for the rights of women, and also ensuring that women are safe in our homes, are safe in workplaces, are safe even in the public, because it's like everyone is angry because of the economic situation which is prevailing in Zimbabwe. And you know what? In terms of the young girls, it's really sad that most of the young girls could not go back to school. And now, this time of 16 days of activism, we are also reaching out to communities to say, our girls, it's high time you should wake up. And you know what? There is also like a hot issue in Zimbabwe where we are discussing about the age of consent. It's something which we are also interrogating during the 16 days of activism. The age of consent of the 12 years to have access to sexual and reproductive and health services. It has become a topical issue where we are also interrogating it with mixed feelings, because we feel at the same time we are busy putting legislations in place, but we are failing to really interrogate or reach out to the persons who are supposed to be using that. So the 16 days of activism this year, under the theme Orange the World, Fund, Respond, Protect and Collect, we are also interrogating the fund part of it. Do we have funding to protect women against abuse? Do we have mechanisms that are in place to really cater for the needs of women? We talk about maternal health services, which has been, dilapidated. Women are dying, they are delivering at the backyard. There are no mechanisms in place in terms of how could these women access adequate, affordable health services that would cater for their needs. So women are at the receiving end.
Maybe there again the network, but I'll come back to you, PJ, and maybe go to our guests to just comment on what Ms. Munando there was saying about the situation in Zimbabwe that they're seeing during this time, PJ.
Yeah, what in ngingakafaki uBeatrice Khumalo emoyeni ngilo nkosazana Duduzile oseZimbabwe la ole signal ebuhluphayo. She couldn't get on the B live link. Yikho ke angilethemba lokuba uzazwakala. Nkosikazi Duduzile siyakwamukela kuhlelo lethu.
Yebo, ngiyabonga. Sanibonani balaleli linjani? Mina ngingududuzile Mathema likhuluma lami ngiseZimbabwe. Ngakho ngirepresenta inhlanganiso ethiwa Women's Institute for Leadership Development.
Yeah, it's very challenging that my network is disrupting, but I think the issues which I was talking about.
Yeah. Muri kumunzwa here Marvelous Duduzile?
Yes, Trukumunzwa, but the Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe vanga vadzoka saka ngavaenderere mberi zvavo tozodzokera kuZimbabwe again. Trukuvanzwa.
Okay, yeah. Nxa sikhangele Duduzile i-16 days of activism against gender-based violence liphathe njani njengenhlanganiso ezimele omama?
Alright, ngiyabonga kakhulu ngombuzo lo. Ku-16 days of activism against gender-based violence, kulenhlelo ezimbalwa esizenzayo njenge-Women's Institute for Leadership Development. Kulalokho esikubiza sisithi ngama-laundry cafe lapho esihlanganisa khona omama ukuthi banelise ukuthi bakhulume ngendaba ze-gender-based violence lokuthi bona i-gender-based violence ibaphatha ngaluphi uhlobo. Ngoba ezikhathini eziningi njengabomama sinanzelele ukuthi nxa bangazithola besendabeni ye-gender-based violence kuba nzima ukuthi ahambe ayethola usizo ngendlela efaneleyo. So kulama-laundry cafe esiwenzayo. Ngakho kukhona ebesikwenza ngama-weekends esikubiza sisithi self-defense masterclass. Ku-self-defense masterclass ikho lapho esiyabe sizama ukuthi sifundise omama ukuthi bangazivikela njani ikakhulu nxa bengazithola ku-situation leyani yokuthi ngabe zama ukuthi amtshontshe kumbe enxa maybe amdlwengule. So nge-self-defense masterclass uyabe senelisa ukuthi ngakhonokho abe kufundile angazenqabela kumbe azivikele njengomuntu ongumama. Ngakho kule GBV survey esiyenzayo ngalesi sikhathi ukuthi sizwisise ukuthi omama bayakwazi na nge-gender-based violence lakhona ukuthi ma besazi bangabe belolwazi ukuthi nxa bengahlangana lohlupho lwe-gender-based violence bangenzani, bahamba ngaphi, ngakho usizo balithola ngaphi. Ngakho-ke okunye futhi esikwenzayo silenhlelo esizenzayo with i-local radio station ekhona lapha koBulawayo. So siyabe sisenza inhlelo zakhona in form of ama-radio drama. I-radio drama yakhona iyabe iletha ukuthi inhlupho ezihlangana labomama ikakhulu nxa sikhangele endabeni ze-gender-based violence kungabe kuzinhlupho ezifana lani. Ngakho-ke siyabe sikwenza sizama ukuthi sikhangele ukuthi njengoba siphatheke nge-COVID-19 omama bona kubaphambanise kumbe kubaphazamise ngayiphi indlela ikakhulu nxa sikhangela kathesi ukuthi ama-reports aphumile siwabonile so isike sabala ngawo ukuthi i-gender-based violence ingazani iqansile ikakhulu ngesikhathi se-lockdown. Ngakho-ke kuhlelo lona lolo olwama-radio drama siyabe sizama ukuthi sikhangelisise kakhulu ukuthi kwenzakalani emphakathini. Ngakho lakhona ukuthi sizama ukuthi sincede umphakathi ngolwazi mayelana lendaba ze-gender-based violence. So yikho esikwenza ikakhulu kathesi ngesikhathi se-gender-based violence inhlelo zona lezi senzama ukuthi ngikhulume ngazo.
Ibe le impact engakanani? What sort of impact did COVID-19, the outbreak, have on the gender-based violence?
Into esinanzeleleyo kakhulu ngesikhathi se-COVID-19 ikakhulu abantu beku-lockdown khona ukuthi ama-cases awe-gender-based violence asuke aqansa kakhulu. Ekuqanseni kwama-cases e-gender-based violence it means ukuthi omama i-confidence kayisekho ngendlela ebikhona before i-lockdown. Lakhona ukuthi umama abe lesibindi sokuthi ahambe ayireport bese kusiba nzima ngoba kuvike ephelileyo sike saba lo mhlangano lapho besixhumane khona lamapholisa ukuthi sizisise ukuthi kati kuhamba njani ukuthi ufice umuntu ongumama ohlangane lo hlupho lwe-gender-based violence engahambi emapholiseni ukuthi ayimangala ukuthi luhlupho olunje ahlangane lalo. Ngakho-ke ikakhulu ebesikuzwa emapholiseni khona ukuthi bathi enye imbangela yokuthi omama bangakhulumi khona ukuthi uyabe sesaba. Esinye isizathu sokuthi angakhulumi khona ukuthi yabe sithi ngumkami onchayile. kumbe ngumkami omphambanise ngento enje kumbe ngento engabi fana lale. So kuba nzima ukuthi umuntu ongumama acabanga ukuthi nxa sengihambe ngakhuluma emapholiseni ukuthi umkami yanchaya mbani ozasale sengigcina abantwana bayakhangelwa ngubani. Ngakho izizathu zonezi izozigcina senzo mama bengasenelisi kumbe bengasabi lokuzithemba nje ukuthi hayi into eright kumbe into elungileyo kumbe into ebalulekileyo ukuthi uhambe uyemangale emapholiseni uyokutsho ukuthi hayi indaba ye-gender based violence yenhlangana layo emzini wami. Ngakho ngiyafisa ukuthi indaba le ngabe sibili iyakhangelisiswa kahle ukwenzela ukuthi lami nje njengomuntu ngenelisa ukuthi ngibe le peace of mind. Ngakho-ke
Ngothi ngubamba umlomo khona lapho silabanye silabo kuhlelo lwethu wothi nginikeze kuBeatrice ukukhuluma ubambe khona lapho ungasuki ecingweni.
Ngilombuzo ku Women's Institute of Leadership ukuthi abantwana ababanji rape abarethwayo abadlungulwayo ngalesi sikhathi kulendlela yini zokubasiza ngoba ngenye indlela kayisibo mama kuphela kodwa silabantwana abangamantombazana abangaba kulesihlobo kumbeni omunye oseduzane.
Uzwile umbuzo Duduzile?
Umbuzo ngiwuzwile. Into engayitsho ukuthi ku-16 days yalunyaka into ebesizame kakhulu ukuthi siyenze njenge-Women's Institute for Leadership Development ukuthi sixhumane lenhlanganiso ezifana labo contact ezincedisa ikakhulu omama loba abantwana abangabe bezithole bekuma-situations awe-gender based violence in terms of ukuthi sijala ukunanzelela ukuthi abantu i-counseling iyasilela kakhulu nxa kuyukuthi umuntu angaba-le-GBV. Ngakho-ke thina njenge-Wild ebesikwenzayo ukuthi besincedisa ngama-referrals ukuthi kungaba lo muntu obuya kithi ngabe elembuzo kumbe elento angazizwisiyo thina ebesikwenzayo ukuthi siyam-refer to those institutions and then they'll get counseling services bathole ukuthi babe lo muntu abangakhulumisana laye mayelana le-GBV. Ngakho nxa bekuthola lolo sizo bebeluthola kungalambadalo abayikhiphayo. So sibili zikhona inhlanganiso esithe ngesikhathi lesi se-16 days bazama ukuthi sixhumane lazo inhlanganiso zakhona ukuthi basisize ngalolo hlobo njengoba thina ebesikhangelele besizama ukuthi sifinyelele ikakhulu kuma-communities ethu. Ngakho-ke nxa sifinyelela kuma-communities ethu kwesinye isikhathi besikunanzelela ukuthi hayi bekungazani kuyasilela ikakhulu ukuthi omama bakhululeke ikakhulu nxa sikhangele endabeni zonezi ukuthi umuntu nxa ezithola eku-situation ye-GBV kuba nzima ukuthi akhulume angaxoxa ngokunye but ukuthi aqambe olwakhe udubo kuba nzima kakhulu. Ngakho-ke yikho ebesizama ukuthi sikwenze ikakhulu nge-16 days of e-activism.
Can you articulate all you said in Ndebele in English now? Or what exactly are you doing during this campaign of 16 days activism against gender-based violence?
Okay, thank you very much. So my name is Duduzile Matema and I represent Women's Institute for Leadership Development. It's an organization that is based in Bulawayo, an organization that envisages to actually build women's capacities in as far as leadership development is concerned, economic empowerment is concerned, as well as democracy and governance. And within the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, what we've been doing as well is running a number of series of activities that talk about gender-based violence, talk about some of the effects that they've noted in as far as gender-based violence is concerned, as well as try to find possible mitigation measures related to gender-based violence. And we also have self-defense masterclasses that we have for women, as well as young girls who actually are taught on how to defend themselves in situations where they're about to be mugged or even maybe physically assaulted. And we also have a GBV survey that is currently ongoing because we are hoping to target 4 areas in Bulawayo where we're trying to assess the current situation in as far as gender-based violence is concerned, and to try to understand whether women really know what gender-based violence is and how it can actually affect them in terms of not reporting those cases, and some of the effects that are there, especially when we're looking at the emotional effects as well as the psychological effects. And within the 16 days of activism, again, we've got public interactive art sessions where we actually discuss about gender-based violence, and then as soon as we're done with those discussions, we then gather a group of women to actually paint images that can depict GBV in their own understanding. So in a nutshell, that's what we've been doing within the 16 days of activism, and as well we've tried to partner with a local radio station here in Bulawayo to actually try and broadcast a radio drama that speaks into gender-based violence. And through the radio drama, we're actually seeing the relationship that is there between pandemics as well as gender-based violence, trying to actually understand, or rather trying to put into context what the reports that came out during lockdown, that because of the lockdown, cases of GBV have actually heightened because of the fact that most women were actually locked down with their perpetrators, or rather those partners who were actually behind being abusive towards them. So basically, throughout the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, that's what we are trying to do as well. And even we're also working as well
PJ,
with,
unfortunately, our time is not on our side, so we are happy to. Very interesting
Thank you
contribution
so
there
much,
from
Dudu.
Wild, from Dudu,
Thank
but
you.
would like to also hear from the UK because we've got like maybe 2 minutes left. You know what she thinks about what Dudu was saying her organization is doing, and also what the Women's Coalition is doing in Zimbabwe as we round up.
Okay, thank you so much, Dudu.
Thank you.
Yeah. Over to you, Mavi.
Vari ku-UK motitaurirawo kuti maona sei zvazviri kutaurwa nevari kuZimbabwe vanga vanyarikani vedu vavira.
Vataridza zvikuru kuti vari kuedza kubatsira madzimai. Asi ndine mubvunzo wekuti nyaya dzecontraception makliniki ariko here, vanhu vari kuwana here macontraceptives panguva ino, uye vamwe vanenge vakabatwa chibharo pane zviri kuitwa here? Pane mapurisa ari kubatsirawo here musangano iri, kuti kuda kuve nedepartment sokuno kuUnited Kingdom rekuti kumapurisa kune section ine madzimai echipurisa uye section inomirira domestic violence?
Nguva yedu manje ndo yadyanana. I was hoping that we would have the Women's Coalition back on, but as you saw, the network keeps coming in and dropping out. But would really love, to thank all our guests who were here with us this evening, looking at the issues facing women. As in football, unfortunately, there's no extra time on this show, but we were listening there to the Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe, who are just narrating some of the issues that women are facing. And I think Mrs. Evanice Munando there was actually saying she had a case of her next door neighbor who lost a baby due to not having enough services. So she was standing in there for the Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe. That's Mrs. Evanice Munando, and she's got her own organization as well where she works with young students. So would like to thank you. Over to you, PJ. Just 30 seconds. We're really over time right now.
Yeah. Unkosikazi Evanice wekhuluma ngodubo oludibane labesifazana ikakhulu omama lapho bebeletha ama-health services sibili hayi ayasilela eZimbabwe, kodwa ke kungasenani isikhathi sethu asavuma ukuba siqhubekele phambili silokhe silolu hlelo esenza kwenza khathesi ukuthi ngilivalelise ngithi asidibaneni ngesibanga abaphilayo ngeviki elizayo. Ngicela ngibonga kakhulu abahlonitshwa bethu akade silabo kuhlelo lethu namhlanje, unkosikazi Beatrice Khumalo kanye loDuduzile Mathema owenhlanganiso ye-Wild.
Thank you to all those that were watching with us. This is a pre-recorded program. So by the time you actually watch this program, some of the figures we were talking about may have changed. Thank you very much. Let's meet again tomorrow on Let's Talk. And that's Marvelous in Washington.